Ruben Amorim's tactical journey. Why he changed everything at Manchester United. Welcome to Unite United News, your trusted source for everything Manchester United. If you are a true Red Devil, you know how important it is to stay informed about what is happening at Old Trafford. Here at Unite United News, we bring you the inside stories, the tactical breakdowns, and the honest conversations that matter to fans like you. Whether you are celebrating victories or struggling through tough times, we are here with you every step of the way. Today, we are diving deep into something that has been on every United fan's mind. Ruben Amorim's tactics and why they have not quite worked out the way we all hoped. The big question everyone is asking. Why did Ruben Amorim come to Manchester United with such high hopes, only to leave fans frustrated and confused? What is this 3-4-2-1 system he keeps talking about? And more importantly, why does he refuse to change it even when results are not going our way? These are the questions keeping United fans awake at night. We have watched match after match, hoping to see the brilliant tactical mind that impressed everyone at his previous clubs. Instead, we have seen a team that looks lost, players who seem unsure of their roles, and results that simply are not good enough for a club of Manchester United's stature. But before we judge too harshly, we need to understand where Amorim is coming from. What made him choose this path? What does he see that we might be missing? And most importantly, is there still hope that his vision can work at Old Trafford? The Manchester United problem before Amorim. Let me take you back to where it all started. Remember the days under Erik ten Hag and Ole Gunnar Solskjaer? If you are honest with yourself, one thing was crystal clear. Manchester United did not have a clear identity on the pitch. What does that mean exactly? Well, think about the great teams in football. When you watch Manchester City, you know exactly what they are going to do. When you see Liverpool play, you can predict their style. These teams have a clear way of playing that never changes, no matter who the opponent is. But Manchester United under recent managers? One week we pressed high. The next week we sat back. Sometimes we played direct football. Other times we tried to play out from the back. There was no consistent pattern. No clear identity. Players looked confused because they probably were confused. Fans complained about this constantly. We wanted to see a Manchester United team that had a plan, a style, a way of playing that we could recognize and be proud of. We wanted an identity. This is exactly why the club brought in Ruben Amorim. He was supposed to be the answer. He was the tactical genius who would give United that clear identity we had been craving. He came with a reputation for playing attractive, organized football with a very specific system. The hope was real. The excitement was genuine. Finally, we thought Manchester United would have a proper tactical foundation to build on. What Amorim walked into at Old Trafford. But here is the problem that became obvious very quickly. The Manchester United squad was never built for Amorim's style of play. Think about it. The players at United were signed by different managers with different ideas. Some were bought to play in a 4-2-3-1 formation. Others were brought in for a 4-3-3 system. Nobody was thinking about a 3-4-2-1 when these players arrived at the club. This created a massive headache for Amorim from day one. He had his vision, his system, his way of playing. But the players he inherited simply did not fit that vision. It is like trying to build a house with the wrong tools. You might have the best blueprint in the world, but if you do not have the right materials, the house will not stand strong. Even after a whole summer transfer window, where the club had the chance to bring in players who fit Amorim's system, the results have been disappointing. 6 matches into the season, United had won only 2 league games. That is simply not acceptable for a club with our history and ambitions. The performances have been frustrating to watch. The team looks disjointed. Players seem uncertain about where they should be on the pitch. The system that worked so well for Amorim at his previous clubs has not translated to success at Manchester United. The man behind the tactics. Who is Ruben Amorim really? To understand why Amorim is so committed to his tactics, we need to understand the man himself and where his ideas come from. Ruben Amorim is not just stubborn for the sake of being stubborn. He is not refusing to change because he has a big ego. His tactical approach comes from years of studying football, watching the greatest teams and coaches, and developing his own philosophy. When Amorim started his coaching career, he did not immediately jump to the 3-4-2-1 system that has become his trademark. Like many young coaches, he started with something more traditional, the classic 4-4-2 formation. But Amorim is a thinker. He is someone who watches football obsessively, studies patterns, and tries to find solutions to problems. And as he coached more games with his 4-4-2 setup, he started noticing problems that he could not solve within that system. The Johan Cruyff influence that changed everything. Here is where the story gets really interesting. Amorim recently revealed the real reason why he changed from 4-4-2 to his now famous 3-4-2-1 system. And it all goes back to one of the greatest minds in football history, Johan Cruyff. If you do not know much about Johan Cruyff, let me give you a quick history lesson. Cruyff was not just a brilliant player for Barcelona and the Netherlands. He was also a revolutionary coach who changed how football was played. His ideas about space, positioning, and ball possession influenced an entire generation of coaches. Amorim grew up watching Italian football, but he also spent hours studying old tapes of Cruyff's teams. One thing that caught his attention was how Cruyff built up play from the back using 3 defenders instead of the traditional 4. This might sound like a small detail, but it was actually revolutionary at the time. Using 3 center-backs instead of 4 defenders completely changes how a team can move the ball forward and create attacking opportunities. The tactical problem that made Amorim change his mind. But Cruyff's influence was not the only reason Amorim made the switch. There was also a very practical problem he kept running into with his 4-4-2 system. In his own words, Amorim explains, "I remember when I started coaching, all the teams built up with 3 and pushed the fullbacks up, and we struggled with a back 4 to cover the space with 5 guys on top of us." Let me break down what he means here because it is actually pretty simple when you understand it. Modern football teams love to press high up the pitch. When they press, they send lots of players forward to win the ball back quickly. Often, this means the defending team faces 5 attacking players coming at them. When you play with a back 4 against 5 attackers, you are always outnumbered in certain areas of the pitch. This creates problems. Your defenders have to cover more space. They get stretched. Gaps appear. The opponent can exploit these gaps. But if you play with 3 center-backs and push your fullbacks higher up the pitch, you suddenly have more flexibility. You can match the opponent's numbers. You have more options for passing the ball out from the back. You are not always fighting from a position of weakness. This realization was like a light bulb moment for Amorim. He saw that the modern game was evolving, and his 4-4-2 system was not equipped to handle these new tactical challenges. The birth of Amorim's unique system. So Amorim started experimenting. He began building his own version of a 3-at-the-back system, incorporating ideas from Cruyff, lessons from Italian defensive football, and solutions to the tactical problems he kept encountering. The result was his 3-4-2-1 formation, which became his trademark. At the time, this was not a common system. Most teams were still playing 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. Amorim's setup was unusual, unexpected, and different. And that is exactly what Amorim loved about it. In his words, "For the first years it was not normal, so it was good for me. Being different gave him an advantage. Opponents did not know how to play against his system because they rarely faced it. His team could exploit spaces that other formations could not access. The uniqueness of his approach became a weapon." Amorim also emphasizes that his system is not rigid. He adapts it based on the opponent. The good part is trying to adapt the way you see football to every system of the opponent, he explains. This flexibility within his framework is what made him successful at his previous clubs. He had a clear identity, but within that identity, he could make adjustments based on who he was playing against. Why the system is not working at Manchester United. So if Amorim's system worked so well before, why is it failing at Manchester United? This is the million-dollar question that everyone at Old Trafford is asking. And the answer is complicated, involving several different factors. First, as we mentioned earlier, the squad simply was not built for this system. You cannot expect players who have spent their entire careers in different formations to suddenly become experts in a completely new tactical setup overnight. Learning a new system takes time. It requires repetition on the training ground. Players need to develop an instinctive understanding of where their teammates will be, what movements to make, and how to react in different situations. At Manchester United, this learning process has been painful to watch. Players often look lost on the pitch. They are not in the right positions at the right times. The system requires very specific movements and understanding, and the current squad is struggling to execute it. Second, there seems to be a communication problem. Either Amorim is not explaining his ideas clearly enough to the players, or the players are not capable of understanding and implementing what he wants. Maybe it is a bit of both. When a coach's vision is not translating to performance on the pitch, something is breaking down in the communication chain. Great tactics on a whiteboard mean nothing if players cannot execute them in real matches. The decisions that are making things worse. But here is where things get really frustrating for fans. Amorim is not helping himself with some of the decisions he is making. Let me give you a perfect example. Bruno Fernandes has been one of Manchester United's best players for years. Everyone knows what Bruno does well. He creates chances. He scores goals. He makes things happen in the attacking third of the pitch. But what has Amorim done? He has moved Bruno into a deeper midfield position. This exposes all of Bruno's weaknesses. Bruno is not a great defender. He is not someone who excels at controlling the tempo from deep positions. He is an attacking player who needs freedom to create. By playing Bruno deeper, Amorim is putting square pegs in round holes. He is taking one of United's best attacking weapons and asking him to do a job he is not suited for. The whole team suffers as a result because Bruno is not playing to his strengths, and the attack lacks creativity. Another baffling decision has been Amorim's insistence on playing Altay Bayındır in goal. Everyone watching Manchester United can see that Bayındır is not good enough for this level. He makes mistakes. He looks nervous. He does not command his area the way a United goalkeeper should. There have been reports that Amorim might finally make a change this weekend, bringing back a more capable goalkeeper. But why did it take so long? Why did he persist with a player who was clearly not up to the task? These kinds of decisions make fans question whether Amorim really understands what is needed at Manchester United. It is not just about having a tactical system. It is also about making smart decisions about which players to use and how to get the best out of them. The promise that things will change. To his credit, Amorim is not completely blind to the problems. He acknowledges that his system needs to evolve and adapt to the Premier League and to the players he has available. In a recent interview, he said, "I'm always saying the same thing, this is going to evolve, we are going to change the system." This sounds promising, right? The coach is willing to be flexible. He understands that what worked at his previous clubs might need modifications to succeed at Manchester United. But then he adds something that is less encouraging. But it's not a normal system, so sometimes you take longer to go from this system to another system. What does this mean? Basically, Amorim is saying that because his 3-4-2-1 setup is so unusual and specific, it is harder to make quick adjustments to it. The system is so unique that you cannot just tweak it slightly. Any changes require significant time and work. This is both the strength and weakness of Amorim's approach. Yes, the uniqueness of his system can give advantages. But that same uniqueness makes it harder to adapt when things are not working. The communication style that won fans over. One thing that almost all Manchester United fans will admit is that Ruben Amorim is excellent at talking to the media and communicating with fans. Remember Erik ten Hag's press conferences? They were often awkward, tense affairs. Ten Hag could be abrupt and defensive. He did not connect well with the media or fans. His communication style was cold and distant. Amorim is the complete opposite. From day one, he has been open, honest, and engaging when he speaks. He explains his thinking. He takes responsibility for problems. He shows emotion and passion for the club. This has been a breath of fresh air for Manchester United fans. Even when results are poor, at least we have a manager who can communicate clearly and make us understand what he is trying to do. Amorim talks the talk. There is no doubt about that. He has all the right things to say. He comes across as intelligent, thoughtful, and committed to making Manchester United successful. But here is the harsh reality. Talking the talk is not enough. At some point, you also need to walk the walk. You need results. You need performances. You need to show that your ideas actually work in practice, not just in theory. What United fans really want right now. Let me be honest about what Manchester United fans are feeling right now. We are tired. We are frustrated. We are running out of patience. We have been through manager after manager since Sir Alex Ferguson retired. Each one promised to bring back the glory days. Each one had their philosophy, their system, their vision for the club. And each one eventually failed. David Moyes failed. Louis van Gaal failed. Jose Mourinho failed. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer failed. Erik ten Hag failed. And now, it is looking like Ruben Amorim might be heading down the same path. Fans do not care about tactical theory anymore. We do not want to hear about formations and systems and philosophies. We just want to see Manchester United winning football matches. We want to see the team play with confidence. We want to see players who understand what they are supposed to do. We want to see a goalkeeper who can actually save shots. We want to see Bruno Fernandes playing in his best position. Most of all, we want a run of solid wins. Is that too much to ask? Just a string of good performances and positive results that make us feel like this club is moving in the right direction. The patience is wearing thin. The excuses are getting old. At Manchester United, there is always pressure to win. That is just the reality of managing one of the biggest clubs in the world. If you cannot handle that pressure, if you cannot deliver results, then you will not last long. Is there still hope for Amorim's vision? So where does this leave us? Is Ruben Amorim doomed to fail at Manchester United? Or is there still a chance that his tactical vision can work? The honest answer is that nobody knows for sure. Football is unpredictable. Managers can turn things around quickly if they make the right adjustments. But for Amorim to succeed, several things need to happen soon. First, he needs to be more flexible with his tactics. Yes, he has a preferred system, but if that system is not working with these players, he needs to adapt more quickly. The Premier League is unforgiving. You cannot afford to wait months or years for your system to click. Second, he needs to make better decisions about player selection and positioning. Stop playing Bruno Fernandes in positions where he cannot influence games. Stop playing goalkeepers who are not good enough. Use your best players in their best positions. Third, he needs to communicate his ideas more effectively to the players. If the team looks confused and disorganized on the pitch, that suggests the players do not fully understand what is being asked of them. Better training, clearer instructions, and more time spent on the tactical details could help. Fourth, the club needs to back him with the right players. If Amorim's system requires specific types of players, then the recruitment team needs to find those players. You cannot expect any manager to succeed if the squad does not fit his style of play. Finally, Amorim needs time. This is the hardest thing for Manchester United fans to accept because we have already given so much time to so many managers who ultimately failed. But building a successful team does not happen overnight. The bigger picture at Manchester United. Let me step back for a moment and talk about the bigger problem at Manchester United. Because while Amorim deserves criticism for his tactical stubbornness and poor decisions, he is not the only problem at this club. Manchester United has been poorly run for years. The recruitment has been scattershot and inconsistent. Players have been signed without a clear plan for how they fit into the team. Money has been wasted on players who do not work out. The club structure has been chaotic. There have been too many changes in leadership. Nobody seems to have a long-term vision for what Manchester United should be. Until these deeper problems are fixed, it will be very difficult for any manager to succeed at Old Trafford. You can hire the best tactical mind in world football, but if the club structure is broken, if the recruitment is poor, if there is no clear plan, then even the best manager will struggle. This is not an excuse for Amorim. He needs to do better with what he has. But it is important to recognize that fixing Manchester United will require more than just getting the tactics right. It will require fixing the entire football operation from top to bottom. Learning from the past. Manchester United fans have seen this movie before. We have watched promising managers come in with great ideas, only to see those ideas fail to translate into success. Louis van Gaal had his philosophy. It looked great on paper but was boring and ineffective in practice. Jose Mourinho had his track record of success, but his methods did not work at United. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer understood the club culture but lacked tactical sophistication. Erik ten Hag came from Ajax with modern ideas that never quite clicked. Now we have Ruben Amorim with his unique 3-4-2-1 system. The pattern is starting to feel familiar. Another manager with a specific vision. Another period of poor results while we wait for the vision to materialize. Another growing sense of frustration among the fans. The question is whether Amorim can break this pattern. Can he be the one who finally gets it right? Or will he become another name on the long list of post-Ferguson managers who could not handle the pressure at Manchester United? What needs to happen next? If Ruben Amorim wants to save his job and his reputation at Manchester United, he needs to act quickly. Here is what needs to happen in the coming weeks and months. First, results need to improve immediately. 2 wins from 6 matches is relegation form, not Manchester United form. The team needs to start picking up 3 points regularly, even if the performances are not perfect. Second, Amorim needs to show more pragmatism. If the 3-4-2-1 is not working, try something else. There is no shame in adapting your approach based on the players you have available. Third, player selection needs to improve. Start picking the team based on form and suitability for specific roles, not just because certain players fit the theoretical system. Fourth, the team needs to show clear improvement in organization and understanding. Right now, the players look confused. That needs to change. If Amorim cannot get his ideas across to professional footballers, then his ideas are not good enough. Fifth, Amorim needs to win over the dressing room. There have been whispers that some players are unhappy with his methods. He needs to get everyone on board and believing in the project. These are not impossible tasks, but they require action now, not in a few months. The pressure at Manchester United is real. The expectations are massive. There is no time to waste. Why this matters to all of us? For those of us who love Manchester United, these are difficult times. We watch every match hoping to see signs of improvement. We defend our club against critics. We argue with friends who support other teams about why United will come good. But deep down, we are worried. We see a team that looks lost. We see a manager who seems stuck in his ways. We see the same problems repeating over and over again. Manchester United is more than just a football club. It is a community of millions of fans around the world who share a passion for the Red Devils. When United struggles, we all feel it. When United loses, it affects our mood for days. That is why we care so much about getting this right. That is why we analyze every tactical decision, every team selection, every press conference comment. We want our club to succeed. We want to feel proud when we wear the United shirt. Ruben Amorim came to Manchester United with promise. He had the credentials. He had the ideas. He had the communication skills. On paper, he looked like the perfect fit. But football is not played on paper. It is played on grass with real players in real matches with real consequences. And so far, Amorim's time at United has been disappointing. The final verdict. So what is the final verdict on Ruben Amorim and his tactics? Is he the right man for Manchester United? The truth is, it is still too early to say for certain. 6 matches is not a long time in football. Managers deserve a fair chance to implement their ideas and show what they can do. But the early signs are concerning. The results are poor. The performances are unconvincing. The tactical stubbornness is worrying. And the decisions around player selection are questionable. Amorim's explanation for why he uses the 3-4-2-1 system makes sense. His reasoning is sound. The influence of Johan Cruyff and Italian football is clear. He has thought deeply about his tactical approach. But thinking deeply about tactics and actually making those tactics work are 2 different things. At Manchester United, only results matter. Fans do not care how good your tactical theory is if you cannot win matches. The coming weeks will be crucial for Ruben Amorim. He needs to show that he can adapt, that he can get results, and that he can handle the pressure of managing Manchester United. If he cannot do these things, his time at Old Trafford will be short. Manchester United fans are patient people, but that patience has limits. We have waited long enough for success. We have endured enough false dawns and broken promises. We want a manager who can deliver, not just talk about delivering. Ruben Amorim still has time to prove he is that manager. But the clock is ticking, and time waits for no one in football. Stay connected with United News. Thank you for reading this deep dive into Ruben Amorim's tactics and his time at Manchester United. Here at United News, we are committed to bringing you honest, detailed, and thoughtful analysis of everything happening at Old Trafford. We know these are tough times for United fans. We know you have questions, concerns, and frustrations. That is exactly why we exist. We are here to help you understand what is happening, why it is happening, and what might happen next. Whether you agree with everything we have said here or not, we appreciate you taking the time to read this article. We encourage you to share your thoughts, your opinions, and your feelings about Ruben Amorim and the current state of Manchester United. Keep checking back with United News for more updates, analysis, and breaking news about your beloved Red Devils. We are in this together through the good times and the bad times. That is what being a Manchester United fan is all about. Until next time, keep the faith, and let us hope that better days are ahead for Manchester United. Glory, glory, Man United.